Hi there, Oz Konar with Business Lending Blueprint. Listen, I'm in my living room with my friend Santa here, and he reminded me that it could be a good idea to share the recent presentation I've done for the exclusive group of business loan broker at the largest broker networking event. I had the opportunity to speak in front of hundreds of experienced business loan brokers and also new brokers and also lenders. And the topic of choice by me was the science of making a lot of money, more specifically, how to make $1 million as a business loan broker. And unfortunately, most of you were not there because either you're not a business loan broker yet, you're looking at this as a business opportunity, or you were not even aware of the event. That's why I got countless emails from those who've seen maybe my pictures at the event or maybe short clips from it, and you were asking me to cover that topic. So I thought it'd be a good idea for me to go through that presentation because I'm in the mindset of knowing and believing that there's a science to making a lot of money. It doesn't just happen because of your good genes or bad genes. It doesn't happen because you just work hard. It doesn't happen because you're just more motivational than everyone else around you. There's a process to it. And not everyone knows that there's a process. Sometimes they haphazardly reach that level. Others need more instructions and a broken down step-by-step process to understand how that works. And I've done that during that presentation, and I thought it'd be a good idea to share that with you guys because it's relevant whether you decide to become a business loan broker through our system or not. For that reason, I'm going to walk you to my computer right now, share my screen, and go through that presentation with you once more so you can get access to that information, and hopefully that helps you make a decision, a positive decision in your life, whether you want to reach that goal or not. At least make yourself believe that it is within your reach. It's not as far away as you might think it is. So I'll see you on the other side. Hi again, let's get started. My name is Oz Konar. I'm the founder of Business Lending Blueprint and also the founder of Business Credit Success Blueprint. And over the years, I had the privilege of working with more than 3,000 people who decided to become loan brokers through our system called the Business Lending Blueprint. And I had the privilege of helping them either quit their jobs or build a six-figure and a seven-figure business. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, please. We have a lot of other videos that you might want to check out and many success stories, especially if you like this video. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So if you want to check me out, it's Oz Konar at Instagram.com. So if you don't know my background, I'm not going to go through rags to riches story. You might not really care about it. But I'm somebody who has experience in all these areas, from direct mail to cold calling, SEO, event marketing, to on stage, speaking, Facebook ads, YouTube ads. I succeeded and failed many times in anything marketing related, in this industry and in general. So today I want to cover you the presentation I've recently done, as I mentioned in the beginning, at the Broker Fair 2021, which got a lot of interest from people and a lot of great feedback. So I'm just going through this right now for my YouTube and Instagram audience. So we're going to talk about the science of making money specifically as a business loan broker. But if you decide not to become a business loan broker, the philosophy here, the principles that I'm going to be covering here will certainly be relevant. So as I was putting together this presentation, I wanted to find out how many millionaires there are in the United States. But to my surprise, I found something better. On an average day, more than 1,700 Americans become millionaires every single day. To me, that's a mind-boggling number. Like 1,700 people. That's crazy. So in the room that I was speaking at, there were a few hundred people. So if you fill that entire room, that would not even be close to more than 1,000 people. So double the size of that huge room are becoming millionaires every single day. And the next question I wanted to find an answer to is, how long does it take? Well, this is where it hits really hard on people who just want to work for somebody else. If you don't own your own business, you can still make a lot of money depending on your position. but it might take you 15 to 35 years. That's a lot of years. I don't know how old you are, but just do the math. I don't know if you want to wait that long, but if you own your own business, it can take 5 years. Years ago, this number used to be like 8 years, but now it's 5 years. So we're going to talk about how to do that in less than 5 years as a business loan broker, because in this industry, that is highly, highly doable. But why am I making this all scientific? Why am I putting this under a scientific blanket and saying that, oh, here's the science of making a lot of money? Is that because I want to get your attention? I want to hype it up? Well, obviously getting your attention would matter a lot to me, but it is actually a scientific process, because when you nail something down as scientifically as possible, it works every time. When something is scientifically proven, it works every time. If I decide to jump out of this window right now in my room, every time I do it, I know for sure that I'm going to fall, right? I'm not going to just float or levitate in the air. It's just not going to happen, right? So because of the force of gravity, it's been proven by science. This is the same thing. Once you prove something scientifically, it is predictable. Once something is predictable, people believe in it more. Like, no one argues whether gravity exists or not. People just believe in that idea, in that theory. This is the same thing. It becomes more realistic, so it becomes easier for people to repeat it, right? And when you repeat something more often, so if you believe the truthness of a strategy with all your heart from the lens of a scientific approach, then it's easy to repeat it then, because you don't doubt yourself, you don't doubt the process, you just keep repeating it. And what you repeat becomes your habit, it becomes a habitual behavior, and your habits create your mastery, which is super important. If you want to succeed in something, you want to have a mastery over that thing, right? If you look at all the successful people, they master a certain thing, certain element of what they do, either because of their passion, either because they were put into a tough situation, they had to figure it out as they're going through resolving that situation that they really do not really like. It just became a habit of repeating the same thing over and over again, and then they gain mastery over that. So we're going to even narrow it down. So how do you make money in this industry? So if I were to, in that room, I've done it in that broker fair, I said, if I go around the room right now, and the room is like packed with like brokers, some of them experienced, some of them not experienced, a lot of lenders. If I were to ask everyone in the room what it takes to make money in this industry, I would get a list of answers such as, dude, you got to hustle. You got to just work really, really hard. You got to hustle. This industry is super difficult. You got to focus on like generating more leads. You got to have a full pipeline. Oh, you got to smile and dial, right? So some people would say that the only way to make money in this industry is you got to be okay with telemarketing, every single day, and smile and dial. Love the process. And they have lingo, phrases such as every no gets you closer to a yes. You got to have a tough skin. If you haven't sold anything in your life, this will be, heartbreaking for you. Everyone will need funding at some point. This is more like an optimistic, wishful thinking, right? Everyone will need some funding at some point. So as long as you stick around, you're gonna get the golden nugget at some point, right? Or if you're working for like a hardcore organization, or if you're working with brokers or broker systems, they're just hardcore sales organizations. They're gonna sell you the idea of ABC of closing. Always be closing. Coffees for closers. If you don't know how to close, you have no place here. Or if you're working for like a brutal company, adapting the ideology of like Wolf of Wall Street. Either your customers buy or they die, or you just keep pushing it, push it until it actually happens, right? That's what most people believe when it comes to what it takes to succeed in this industry. But I won't be talking about any one of those. I mean, after working with thousands of people, you see patterns. I got to be an idiot, honestly, not to see patterns working with that many people and adding a lot more people every single day, right? So I'm not going to be talking about any one of these. And the reason is not because I disagree with all of them. It's because they don't really help with making a lasting change, right? If one of you come up to me and tell me, hey, Oz, let's have a one-on-one call. Listen, I want to start this business. I just don't know what to do. What do you suggest I do? And if I tell you, dude, you just got to hustle, or lady, you just got to go hustle, or you just got to make more phone calls. Is that a strategy? Yeah, that's a strategy, but will it cause any lasting changes? I doubt it, because it's not going to cause any lasting changes. It's not going to cause a paradigm shift, because you have your feelings associated around the task that I asked you to do, right? Maybe you never telemarketed in your life, or maybe you've done enough telemarketing, you just hate it with passion, right? You just don't like doing telemarketing and bothering people and trying to get sales out of them. So, the list that I have here is not the best list to cause someone to make a lot of money, right? So it doesn't cause a paradigm shift, because most entrepreneurs already hustle. They work hard. They understand they got to motivate themselves. They grind. They spend countless hours, on their craft and trying to figure it out, right? But it doesn't work. Most entrepreneurs are not successful. They're not successful in the financial sense. They're not making a lot of money, or they start something and they find themselves in a job that they own. Like, it's not much different than working for somebody else anymore. So they thought entrepreneurship would give them the financial freedom, the time freedom, the location freedom, and they maybe listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk telling them to hustle and work 23 hours a day, and they now notice that, holy cow, I've been doing this for a few years and it's really not working. That's why I'm not going to talk about things like that, because most people confuse movement with progress. Just because you're busy, just because you're doing a lot of stuff, doesn't mean you're progressing on the thing that you're working on. Doing the same thing over and over again is not compounding interest. And it's not really progress. It's just being intellectually lazy. What that means is people tend to go back and repeat the same thing over and over again, because doing something else feels really uncomfortable. They feel like they need to get out of their comfort zone. For that reason, they take the path of least resistance. They go back to doing the same thing over and over again. So I usually, like, people come up to me and tell me, hey man, like, I know we talk about the online marketing, the power of automating everything and having access to like hundreds of leads every single day in full automation. But I don't know anything about online marketing. I'm used to like calling and dialing people. I'll just go back and do that. So they accept that it's not the most effective way to do it, but learning online marketing means more painful to them. So they take the path of least resistance, although they know that it's not the right path to go. Does that make sense? Hopefully you see what I'm saying, right? So people become intellectually lazy because the challenge in hand seems to be more painful than the current pain they're going through right now. That's why someone who might have a job currently and they don't really like their job, they know, like, human beings are very smart, right? You know that most of the time your job is not going to give you what you're looking for. If you stay there in the next 5, 10, 15 years, you're not going to reach your goal of making a lot of money or being a millionaire. But why do you still stay there, right? Because the fear of unknown is a lot bigger than the pain that they go through right now. This is a painful process. Where they are is painful, but it is at least predictable. They're going to get paid on Friday again. So where they want to go is the dream. Like, you want to make a few $1 million and build an organization maybe, and spend more time with your wife, husband, partner, your kids, and be able to live in a maybe more expensive neighborhood, and be able to, if you're into that kind of stuff, buy expensive cars and have access to capital, cash, that you can just do things just for the sake of doing them. But then you face the reality, your current reality, which is just maybe you have a job right now. You're like, damn it, that would be nice to do it, but now I gotta make this big move, it seems really big. And then they just go back to doing the same thing, and they cheat themselves by saying, I'm working really hard, I'm hustling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You're confusing movement with progress. Let me just walk you through a statistics. On average, people spend about 145 minutes per day on social media, usually on their phones. And I'm talking about like YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok and Instagram, right? 145 minutes. That's more than 2 hours a day that you're spending on those channels. What exactly are you doing on those channels? You are being a consumer, right? Someone is posting your content, whether that's someone that you follow on your YouTube channel that you follow on YouTube, or your friends on Facebook. Maybe you like to check up on your ex on Facebook and see what she's or he's up to, right? And maybe you want to go through a constant stream of TikTok videos. But what's happening is you're becoming a consumer, while the 1% of the population are not consuming the content. They are paying for the eyeballs to put their message in front of them. Either they're doing it through paid advertising or they're doing it through organic means, right? So since you're on those channels every single day, how many of you actually know how to run YouTube ads? How about Facebook ads? How about Instagram ads? How about YouTube organic? How about TikTok organic? Did you even know that there's a paid advertising avenue for TikTok? You're on those platforms anyways. You're spending your time on social media, but you're not revealing yourself the secret that makes people millionaires through the same platform. There are people who are using YouTube ads, Facebook organic methods to generate massive amounts of eyeballs on their products and services and turning it into massive amount of income. So let's say social media is too complicated for you. Let's look at the emails. On average, people spend anywhere from 143 to 209 minutes per day on the email. So that could mean maybe you're closing deals on email, you're checking email, you're going through your junk list, you're getting emails from your, I don't know, your real estate agent, your friends, your buddy, your family members. So that equates to 2 to 3 hours a day. That's a lot of hours spent on the email. Yet, I bet that most of you do not know how to use that same email for warm and cold email marketing to generate leads and full automation so you can fill your calendar. Let's say you become a business loan broker. Well, you need people who are interested in what you're offering. It's really not that difficult to find people who need money, right? Most people, more than 70% of the people at some point thought about starting their own business. What stopped them is the lack of finances. They didn't have access to the capital. Well, if you become a business loan broker, especially in our network, you have access to lenders and funders who fund startups, people who start their business. So instead of becoming a consumer of all of these different tools, if you decide to become a part of the 1%, right? You can use the same tools that you're using to get it in front of the people who are looking forward to what you're offering and turn it into massive income for you. So a couple of slides ago, I talked about the compounding effect. I said that doing the same thing over and over again is action. If I ask you to move boulders from one end of the street to the other end, that's a lot of action. It's a lot of brute force, right? But it doesn't add up to, amount to anything. You're not compounding that skill set to help you reach the higher limits of yourself, better version of yourself. So when we talk about compound interest, there are sayings that Albert Einstein said that this is the eighth wonder of the world, and it's usually used when we're talking about the finances and investing in the return on capital. This is what the compound interest curve looks like, right? So if you consistently invest into an asset over time, and if you stick with it, and if you let your earnings compound over and over again, over time, it feels like initially nothing is happening, but over time, you have this exponential growth curve that skyrockets, it's almost vertical. And if you don't believe me, let's look at the charts of a couple of famous examples. This is Amazon, this is Apple, this is Walmart. This is exactly what happened to them. In the beginning of the video, I told you I was going to talk to you about how to become a millionaire and make millions as a business loan broker. I mean, these companies, some of them are worth trillions of dollars. They follow the same principles, right? So if we know that, and most people understand that easily, right? So if you just progressively put effort consistently on something that has a marketable value, then you're going to take over the world on that very thing in a relatively short amount of time. If that's the case, why do most people not use the scientific method? Instead, they jump from training to course, business opportunity to business opportunity, and they say that didn't work for them. Maybe this will work for them. The grass looks greener, and oh, God forbid, they see another shiny object. They just jump over that thing, quitting what they've been doing for a while. Now they're wondering why nothing is working for them. So if you know that this is just the way to go, if you just know that you just stick with one thing and just follow through, it will just work. Why do we just not do it, right? Because it's not as fun. So there are like three major reasons. I'm going to walk you through all of that. One is the compounding interest method, which we know that works, versus instant gratification. So if I have access to YouTube, if I go to youtube.com, if I feel like watching funny cats dancing, I type in funny cats dancing, and boom, I just satisfied that necessity, and I have that dopamine hormone released in my body because I'm happy right now. I wanted to get something, I accomplished it. I felt like watching some funny videos of cats dancing. I watched it as instant gratification. I'm instantly happy. Whereas compounding interest requires you to stick with something. So it has a disadvantage, right, when you think about it. So you have to fight that urge of instant gratification. The second one is compounding interest versus comfort zone. So when you're learning something, instead of watching funny videos on YouTube, if I ask you to learn how to run ads on YouTube, that will require the same effort, because instead of watching funny videos, you're going to be watching videos on how to run ads on YouTube. But it's going to push you out of your comfort zone, right? So now you got to put your mind into a learning zone. You have preconceived notions about learning technology. Maybe you kept saying to yourself over the years that I'm too old for this. I don't understand it. I'm not a technical person. I've tried this and failed this before. The most dangerous conversation is the conversation that you have with yourself. You're beating yourself up, and you are giving yourself these affirmations that you can't do this, you can't do that. And when I ask you to do something, that pushes you out of your comfort zone. And many people are not okay with getting pushed out of their comfort zone. That's why they don't follow the compounding interest model. The last one is people want to have control over time. One of the most common questions that we get in the Business Lending Blueprint is someone interested in our program. They're like, hey, Oz, I love this. I want to get started. But how long does it take for me to make money? People want to have control over time. If you ever been to New York City, and if you decide to take subway, you go underground pretty much and wait for the subway. They have these monitors right above the railroad, right? It tells you train B is arriving in 5 minutes. So what difference does it make for you to know that it's going to arrive in 5 minutes or 4 minutes? Why do we even need that? Because I'm there already. Even if it takes 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 3 minutes, I'm there. I got to wait. But we want to feel like we like the perception of having control over time. So when we're talking about compound interest, if I tell somebody, listen, if you take this lesson, if you take this training, apply it and stick with it for 6 months and just keep applying what you're learning, I guarantee you that you're going to reach first five figures, meaning that you're making up to $10,000 a month, then 6 figures. And if you just keep working on it single-mindedly, you're going to reach 7 figures. They'll agree with me, but then they have 3 enemies: instant gratification, because they might see an ad about, hey, cryptocurrencies, why don't you invest in Bitcoin and make 10x your money? Or they might feel like it's going to push them a little too much out of their comfort zone, or they might feel like 6 months, 3 months is a long time. I might as well do something else that just makes me rich overnight, right? That's why most people do not use this scientific method. The other thing is, maybe you read the book on the 10,000 hour, right? So it states that it takes 10,000 hours to gain mastery on something. 10,000 hours is like 5 to 10 years. So if I come up to any successful CEO and tell them, hey, how long did it take you to become a multimillionaire and build this amazing, glamorous company? They'll tell you it took 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But if I were to meet them on day one of them starting that business and told them, hey, dude, that's going to take you about 10 years to build this company, would it be really encouraging? It wouldn't be really encouraging, right? They might just quit because of the fact that it's going to take a long, long time. But once they've done it, they notice that it takes that passion, the time to reach that magnitude. I mean, but for someone who's just starting out to read that, it's not really encouraging. So they don't even get started, right? Because it's not really it's not realistic to expect people to stick with something for 10,000 hours, because people do not put in the time when they do not trust the process. That's really, really important. So I'm going to give you a tip, a really important strategy that will replace the 10,000 hour rule as the 20-hour rule. So what stops people from learning a new marketable money-making skill is 4 objections. If I were to just, if I was in your room right now, and if I just locked the room and said, listen, I want you to learn online marketing, you'll get excited. Because if you do learn online marketing, you just make a lot of money, right? You say, okay, well, I want to do it. All right, get started. You'd be like, what? Get started? I don't know where to start. You got to help me. No, I'd be like, get started. So these are the 4 objections you would give me if I just give you a random broad task that is guaranteed to make you super successful financially. But you're going to tell me things like, I don't really know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to go. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? I don't know if this thing will even work out or not, just because you're telling me it will work out. I mean, why would I even go ahead and put my time into it? I just don't want to put my time into it and find out I wasted my time. I don't want to waste my time, right? So these are the objections that people come up with when, even though the speaker is like super convincing, the teacher, the mentor is just so super convincing, when they're given a very specific task in like really broad terms, that's what happens. So what is that one skill that would make you a millionaire? So the skill of inversion. I've learned this from the right-hand man of Warren Buffett, Charles Munger. They're both billionaires, right? So Charles has an interesting mind for sure, as you might have guessed. So when he's dealing with a problem, like most people, he comes up with these objections. I don't know. Why would I do it, right? So in that situation, he believes in inverting the problem. So inverting the objection. So stick with me. This might sound a little complicated, but it's really not the case. So we're going to follow the 20 hours of going down a rabbit hole on a topic. Let's say you want to become a business loan broker. What stops a lot of people from doing that are those 4 excuses. I just don't know enough about this. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know where to start. What if it doesn't work out? What if I waste my time? What if I waste my money, right? So these are the questions. But if you invert it, instead of asking questions this way, you switch it and say, instead of saying, I don't know where to start, I need to figure out where to start. All I'm asking you to do is whatever you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to become a business loan broker, give yourself 20 hours. 20 hours of time investment. It's not a lot of hours, guys. When you work for somebody, you're putting in minimum 40 hours, sometimes 60 hours. I used to put a lot more than that. So 20 hours is nothing. Even if you have 2 hours a day, that's literally 10 days. If you're putting in 4 hours a day, that's only 5 days. When you know that something is going to change your life, use the inversion method. Instead of saying, I don't know what to do, say, I need to figure out where to start. Because remember, I haven't given you any instructions. So I told you to go learn online marketing. You told me I don't even know where to start. Well, that falls into within the realm of that 20 hours that you need to figure that out. I need to figure out what to do, versus I don't know what to do. Well, figure out what to do. I need to figure out if this will work out or not. Is this really worth spending time on? Well, you need to figure that out. So make it a part of that 20-hour project and tell yourself that I'm not expecting anything out of this. If you want to open up your learning modes in your mind indefinitely, just remove any expectation out of that. Eliminate the instant gratification, the feeling of getting something. Like it happens so often, right? I asked someone to watch this, like, why don't you go through and check this video? It's on YouTube. And it's a 20-minute video, let's say, and they started, and minute 5, someone goes, oh my God, I don't get this. I'm so lost. Like, I don't even know what the speaker is talking about. Like, this is crazy, because they have the wrong expectation starting out. If you're expecting to master something with like a 20-minute video, well, that's the wrong expectation to start out with. But if you have zero expectations, if you tell yourself, your subconscious mind, that, listen, I'm going to spend 20 hours on this thing, I'm expecting 0 out of that. Your perception, your level of understanding will open up beyond imagination. You'll be able to stay focused. Otherwise, as you're going through this, you're shaking your head. I mean, you catch yourself doing it, right? I catch people doing this all the time as I'm communicating with them. And once they start getting overwhelmed, they notice, I'm not clear on this. I don't want to think about this. This is too much. This is too much. This is too much. They're talking to themselves. They're having this inner talk of repeating to themselves that this is too much. I'm not going to learn this. But if you eliminate all of that and tell yourself that I'm not expecting anything out of this exercise for the next 20 hours, you'll see that your learning modes will change indefinitely. So all you have to do is I will just spend 20 hours with no real expectations. So what will this help you accomplish? It will help you trust the scientific process. So you might say to yourself, hey dude, like you've been talking for a while now. So what exactly are you asking me to do? I'm asking you to learn the skill of learning something new, which is the most important skill that you can learn. I know it sounds like a riddle, but many people do not know how to learn something, how to learn a new skill, which stops them on their tracks. They feel like they're in your own jail, in their own jails pretty much. They can't free themselves. They feel like they don't have access to resources. They're not being resourceful enough, and they feel like it's over for me. I'm either too young for this, too old. So that those excuses take over. So once you understand this process and apply the 20-hour rule, it can be applied to anything in life. So my goal through this presentation is to help you learn the skill of learning something new, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. What happens when you go through this 20 hours, you get your mind blown. Now you really like the idea. Let's say you want to become a business loan broker. And I don't know, if you join the Blueprint and you're spending 20 hours on this, you're like, this is crazy. It is also a humbling experience because when you remove all your excuses, you notice how much more there is to know, right? Because people ignore things when they do not want to even spend time to research this, right? You talk to somebody about a concept, and if they don't want to spend time on this, they're like, this is scam, this is crazy, this doesn't work. And if you ask them if they ever even try looking into it, they go, no, I don't need to try this. I already get this. Like this is scam, this is not going to work, right? Versus if you spend 20 hours, you'll notice that there's just a lot more to learn. You're going to grow, you're going to get passionate out of this. The thing is going to grow in you, right? So you're going to slowly feel like you need to spend more time on this without you noticing that you're differentiating yourself from the 99% of the population. 99% of the population, they have the consumer mindset. They want to constantly consume short videos, short clips out of YouTube and TikTok, pretty much content that they can do nothing with. But if you separate yourself from that, that crowd, that's how you end up at the top 1% of the financial bracket. Those are the millionaires who are making millions of dollars through this process. Again, some people willingly build this skill set. Some people do it haphazardly over time because they're just so ambitious. They keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. They don't have any off button. They don't feel like they're failing. They just always find a new way to do this. Now I'm going to wrap this up with this interesting graph here. What we're talking about in essence is the magical power of focus and sticking to it. So the graph you're seeing, I don't know if it is on your right or left, the memory versus time graph. Our memory is very flawed, right? If you watch this entire presentation very carefully, you're going to remember most of that for a few hours. Within the next 24 hours, it's going to drop down to, your memory of this will drop down to 50%. And 3 or 4 days from now, it's going to drop down to less than 20%, as the graph suggests. So we have to fight against that as human beings. That's one of our flaws, right? We don't remember everything. Our memory is flawed. It's very picky. So for that reason, you have to combine it with the compound interest graph here on the right. So if you stick with something, you apply that 20-hour rule, even if you're forgetting certain things, because you're being consistent, initially it might feel like nothing is happening, which is okay, which is exactly what I asked you to plan for. Don't expect anything out of this. Just trust the process. That's why I told you in the beginning that I'm going to talk to you about a scientific process, not a theoretical one, not a motivational one, not a hypey one. If you just stick with it, you'll see this graph. I see this happening every single day with no fault. People, post in our community saying that, hey, I've joined Blueprint. It's been a few months. I'm funding my first 4 deals. If someone funds their first deal within a week, then they just stay with it. And you pass forward like 6 months, you notice that they became a direct lender. I interviewed so many people, you might have seen them on our YouTube channel here, that's the exact model that they follow, right? If you do not follow that, if you just want to get rich overnight, I tell you up front, you're wasting your time. There is no such a thing. You have no place at the top 1% level if your mindset is that you're going to get rich quick tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way. But if you find the right vehicle, you put yourself in a position where you become a part of this, reverse bell curve, or I call it smiley face curve, that you learn the power of focus and sticking to it. So hopefully this was helpful. Comment below with your feedback and your questions and how you feel about this, and let me know if you decide to become a part of our community, because below this link, you're going to see a link to go through a training on how to become a business loan broker, how big this industry is becoming, because you have the opportunity to help millions of existing businesses and millions of businesses who want to get started, and with millions of people who want to be entrepreneurial, right? So I don't want you to miss that out. Below this video, check out those links. And again, if you like this video, please subscribe to our channel and check out the other videos. Hope to see you on the next video. Take care.